Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and Manchester United have got their man. Benjamin Sesko will be a Manchester United player. We're only waiting on here we go. He wants Manchester United, we want him. Chelsea are walking away like, not Chelsea, Newcastle are walking away like Craig David. And United will get Sesko. So let's go through all the big quotes that are coming out this morning from Ornstein, Romano, a few more as well. Apparently we can spend more. Apparently Scott McTominay's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. It's all going on this morning and it's the United Stand News Show. Let's get into it. Very, very excited. Look, first of all, I suppose some of us could sit there and say, I told you so. I'm never a big fan of that. I think that, as I always said, when David Ornstein a week ago said that Man United were going all in for Sesko, that's when the deal was done for me. That was it. I know we've had to go through the pantomime and you know what? We've had to see another Newcastle rejection. More rejections than a vegetarian applying for a job at a butcher's. Yeah, it's not good. Let the jokes commence. I feel bad for Newcastle, actually. I do feel bad for them because they've exposed themselves more times than a pervert in a park. Does that work? But anyway, my point is they are... You know, they're a big football club, Newcastle. They're a better football club than us at the moment. They've certainly got a better midfield than us, and I'd say they've got a better chance of finishing higher than us in the league, and they're in the Champions League as well. But, you know what? I think that this is the ambition that we want to see from Manchester United, and these are the sort of signings we have to make. I've said this for years. If we want to catch up with people, we've got to buy people they want. And you know, we spoke about that at the start of the summer. You know, if you're looking at the Newcastles and the Arsenals and the Chelseas, you've got to buy players that they want. There's no point buying players they don't want. And look, with all due respect to people like, I don't know, Joshua Zirkzee, for example, AC Milan wanted him. We hijacked the deal. There was no Arsenal. There was no Chelsea. There was no Newcastle. And I like Zirkzee. And Zirkzee could turn into a good player for us. But Benjamin Sesko was wanted by Arsenal. Benjamin Sesko was wanted by Newcastle. They're direct rivals. So I think these sorts of signings are really, really important to us. But let me give you the news this morning because you're just going to sit back with a smile on your face as I read these. David Ornstein, about an hour ago, Man United closing in on a deal to sign Sesko, and Leipzig accepted Newcastle's bid, but 22-year-old striker wants Manchester United. No club-to-club agreement yet, but talks advancing towards a conclusion. Fabrizio Romano, Sesko has reached full agreement with Man United on personal terms, deal until 2030. He only wants United. Talks with Leipzig, now the focus. Florian Plettenberg. Full agreement in place for Sesko. Man United as previously revealed. He's ready to sign a contract running until at least 2030 with both Manchester United and Newcastle. Man United are pushing to close the deal in the next hour. I don't know why he's talking about Newcastle still. Forget about them. Romano. Benjamin Sesko never gave other clubs this level of indication that he wants to join them. So always Manchester United, and those of us who were calm about it, well, you know, we have been proved right in relation to that as well, haven't we? So look, I don't really get why Newcastle are still being mentioned here. Have they been used by Leipzig? Have they been played by Sesko and his agent? They may well feel like that. It must be a horrific... I mean, God, we've had some bad summers, but it must be horrific for Newcastle. I mean, the list is incredible. You can actually build a Premier League side that would get top four that have rejected Newcastle when you think about it. So many players. But that's their problem. We're trying to build something else. The striker that we've needed is now at Manchester United. And I want to bring this in very, very quickly because people talk about what Sesko brings to Manchester United. So I've taken last season, I've compared Sesko to Ekitike, Rasmus, Isak, Gyökeres and Delap. So our current striker and 4 players that are going to be on the move this summer into the Premier League, remaining in the Premier League. So this is what Sesko's all about, considering he was playing for a Leipzig side that underperformed. These are last season stats. Goals per 90, 0.47 for Sesko, 0.41 for Ekitike, 0.28 for Rasmus, 0.27 for Delap, 0.7 for Isak, 1 for goal per game for Gyökeres. So Isak and Gyökeres at a level above Sesko, but he above everybody else. Shots per 90, Isak 4, 2.5 for Sesko, so he's getting less shots, 2 for Delap, 3.6 for Ekitike, 1.4 for Rasmus, and 3 for Isak. So Isak and Gyökeres getting more shots per 90 last season than Sesko. So what about goal conversion? 18.5% for Sesko, 11.2% for Ekitike, 23% for Isak, 28% for Gyökeres, 13% for Delap. So the running theme for me is that Sesko drops quite comfortably above Ekitike, Delap and Rasmus, below Gyökeres and Isak, which is what I would expect. He's 22. He's above those potential players of Delap, Rasmus and Ekitike, but he's behind the established players of Isak and Gyökeres, which is exactly what we're buying for 22 years of age. So people who want to throw him into the category of Ekitike, Delap, Rasmus are wrong. He's above that, but he's not at the level of a Gyökeres or an Isak yet, because it's still a bit of growth in his career. What I do like about him is, though, dribbles per 90, Ekitike 4.1, we know he's that sort of a player. Isak 3, Sesko 2.9, Rasmus 1.6. So he is somebody that gets the ball and carries the ball, and I think we're going to see from him things that we haven't seen before. He doesn't get that many assists. Assists per 90 is 0.1. But then again, Isak's is 0.14. Ekitike 0.2. Gyökeres 0.2. Delap 0.08. So, look, people saying he's the next this, he's the next that. I'll tell you exactly what Sesko is. He's the next potential European top-class striker. He could be the next Lewandowski. He could be the next Ramos at PSG. We don't know. But we needed a striker. We didn't get Gyökeres. We didn't get Osman. And the minute we didn't get either of those, the striker market always became one of a chance with an element of risk. I think we've, at this stage, gone and got pretty much as good as we could get. You might have wanted Ollie Watkins, but beyond that, I don't think there was anything else in the market that you were going to go, that's going to be good enough. Poloko says he's bang average. I suspect you're not a Manchester United fan. You're probably a Newcastle fan, a Liverpool fan, an Arsenal fan, a City fan. You're not a Man United fan, because a Man United fan doesn't start calling new signings average before they're even holding up a Man United shirt. A Manchester United fan gets behind its players when they sign for this football club, or whether they're a young player making a debut. So, I'm sure we'll get morons out there who pretend to be United fans being negative about this deal, and they'll be drowned out by the real fans who will back this player. I've seen United buy players I didn't want. I didn't want Fellaini, I didn't want Lukaku, I didn't want Matic. We were unsure about Mount, but they will get backed, and we needed to buy a striker. It is August the 6th. We have a striker coming to Manchester United. Now, what I would say is that it's all about timing now. When will this happen? And we spoke about this last night. And I've got to say, absolutely had quite a bit of information coming in from the club this year. Nothing about Sesko. Absolutely nothing. This has always been opinion. And sometimes opinion, balanced, can be right. And pretty much everything we've been talking about over the last few days has happened. I've always said stay calm. Many of you have agreed with me. We've stayed calm. I've always said he favours United, and it is coming out now. I've always said that we'll get this deal done, and we're going to get this deal done. And I've always said that Newcastle are going to have to back off, and they're going to have to back off. What's interesting is, I think the advantage of the Newcastle bids are that it's sped this deal up like it's on Red Bull. We saw with Mbeumo wants Man United at the start of June. He doesn't sign till the middle of July. Sesko wants Man United today. He could be holding up a shirt on the pitch on Saturday. It really could move that quick. He is training individually at this moment in time. He has had a pre-season with Leipzig. He played a game last week, so he's not like Mbeumo. He's training individually at the moment. He doesn't want to be doing that for long. Leipzig are having him train individually because they're anticipating a move very, very quickly. The story was that if he had chose Newcastle, he'd have been a Newcastle player by the end of the week. So the feeling is that he'll be a Man United player at the end of the week as well, because all we have to do is finalise this deal. Now, they've accepted Newcastle's bid, which we know was 69 million plus 8. Man United's was 65 plus 8. So there's a slight bit of negotiation. I think United might have gone a little bit higher anyway. So once that deal is agreed, it's here we go. get on a plane, get the medical done. He should be holding the shirt up by the weekend, in which case he should be training with us all of next week ahead of a game against Arsenal on the Sunday, and he should at least be on the bench. So it's moving very, very, very fast, and it's moving faster than we ever would have done this deal without Newcastle. And I'm not here to take the piss out of Newcastle and say thank you for your help, but in a way, thank you for your help. They're not going to be grateful for that thank you, but we normally do deals on our own where there's no competition. This just shows that deals can get done quickly if you're on the winning side of a transfer battle. And literally, if we were just negotiating with Leipzig, I think this deal would have gone to transfer deadline day. So Newcastle's involvement has actually been a positive. Obviously not for Newcastle, but certainly for us as well. So that is where we are this morning. Oh God, 21,000 people watching. Absolute legends. Make sure you are sharing the video. Let's see how high we can go, because we've actually only just hit 10 o'clock. I went live a little bit early because I was just too excited. There was too much coming in and people were saying go live, go live, go live. And I thought, we'll wait till 10, but we went a little bit live earlier. I just want to grab some of your comments before I get into the rest of the news. Terp says, Man United getting Sesko is a huge positive for the club and Amorim. We're slowly behaving like a big club. This could affect Isak going to Liverpool. I'm not bothered about that. I think Isak will still go to Liverpool. I'm not bothered. That's somebody else's race. We're not in that race. If he doesn't go to Liverpool, I still think Liverpool will have got a great chance of winning the league. So Liverpool are not going to be anything we're concerned with for 2 or 3 years. So I'm not that bothered about that. I'm bothered about us getting on the journey to getting near Liverpool. That's all I'm bothered about. Shabazz says, I'm hyped for Sesko, plus Rasmus deserves one more season. Well, look, Fabrizio Romano has literally spoken about the Rasmus situation, which I'll give you an update in a moment. But thank you very much for that. What centre midfielder should we go for now, says Texas Eddie. Can we just before we start talking about midfielders, we haven't even got Sesko holding up the shirt at the moment. Can we just enjoy signing a striker? There's always the next thing. And I always say this to like Seb and my kids, like, you know, it's like opening your presents at Christmas. You get a really good present. What's next? And can we just enjoy this for a moment? It's not even happened yet. All last season, people are moaning about a striker. We get a striker. What's the midfielder? Like, I'm not the Glazers' biggest fan. Certainly not. And I'm certainly not Ineos' biggest fan. But, like, we're never going to be happy if we're never happy. Like, it's always the next thing with some people. Like, this striker is really significant. And for me, we do need a midfielder and we do need a goalkeeper, but we've spent nearly £200 million. There may not be much left. And you're talking about a top strike. You're not getting Belieber unless something miraculous happens. We're not getting Hojlund. You're probably getting a loan signing of Douglas Luiz or something like that. Finally, someone good in the air. How is his injury record, Mark? He fits the advanced forward complete role as per FC 25, says Lieutenant General. His injury record is very good. He's barely been injured. How good is Sesko, says Alan. We've just been through some of that. One important fact is that Sesko got this stats playing in a weaker team compared to Ekitike and Isak, says Space Oddie. Yep. To all those people saying he's average, why did Arsenal consider him the striker to take them to the league title? Why have Chelsea been sniffing around him for 4 years? Why did Newcastle want him, who are in the Champions League? If he's bang average, why are those clubs going for him ahead of somebody like a Ramos or a Watkins or a Jackson? So, you know, cry me a bloody river with your bitter tears. He is a work in progress. He may not adapt to the Premier League, but you cannot dispute the fact that top clubs have been looking at him for a long time. And the reason they didn't go for him really was price. Arsenal went for the cheaper option in Gyökeres. If they'd been the same price, who knows what they would have gone for. We wanted Gyökeres signed for Arsenal. Sesko wanted by Arsenal signing for us. The game at Old Trafford would be fun. All top strikers in the Premier League this year is great, says Shaunak. This transfer surprised me on two fronts, says Rajaf. How fast we are and the fact that United have 75 million euros. Excited for the Arsenal game now. Storylines for both clubs. Well, the reason it's happened so quick is because of Newcastle, really. You know, we had to move quick or we miss out. Liam, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, I know you've been in a bit reserved about having Sesko as our only striker, but we are playing one game a week. Surely we want him playing every game to improve. No, I disagree with this, Liam. I disagree with this. I don't agree with selling Rasmus because we are stacked at number 10. You've got people like Mason Mount and Xerxes who won't start but can come on from the bench. We're stacked at centre-back where you've got people like Maguire, Luke Shaw, Mazraoui, Heaven who might not start but can be utilised there. We've got quite a few midfielders and we need another one. Up front, if we sell Rasmus, we've got Sesko, we've got Obi who's 17, and we've got Xerxes who's not really a striker. So Sesko, we have only got one game a week, but are you literally going to play him every single minute of every single game? What if he does need a break? What if he does struggle a little bit? What if he gets injured? So I don't like the fact of buying a striker and selling a striker when we've always needed to replace Martial, Cavani. Rasmus needed another striker with him. We don't need to replace Rasmus. If we replace Rasmus, we need 2 strikers. So that's my stance on it. I'm curious about how Amorim will use him, especially against park of the bus teams. He's a simple player, but he hits the ball like it owes him money, says Slazy. Thoughts on being linked with Furman from Barcelona, says HellQ. Not heard anything about it. How much of these Gyökeres stats are from while Amorim was there, says Mojo. Does never showed similar indications to other clubs mean Sesko didn't consider Arsenal special despite their pursuit, says Sujoy. I don't think it includes Arsenal. I think it includes the recent race that he preferred us over them. Let's hope Chris Favell has got this right, says Lieutenant General. Sir Graham Souness, welcome to the Members Club. I've played the game. Karen Veer, welcome as well. Thank you for joining the Members Club. Appreciate your support. Get your badge in. Sesko's first touch and turn will be vital for us. Rasmus was never good at that and would give away the ball while we tried the counter-attack, says Phil Fleco. Oliver Long, welcome to the Members Club as well. Get the champers out, Mark, says Reese. Thank God we haven't ended up with Nicholas Jackson, says Light Schofield. McTominay for Ballon d'Or, champers, says Jacob. Donnarumma loading and Wharton, says CC. And Ike for life, welcome to the Members Club as well. Today is my dad's birthday. We both love the club. If we get here with today, I'm calling it. We're winning the league, says Philip. Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but enjoy your day. We should get a here we go today. Yeah, a few people are asking that. We should get a here we go today. We should get a deal done today. I'm expecting that at any time in the next few hours because it's the only thing that we're waiting for. Newcastle haven't backed out yet. Somebody said why? Because they're probably so fed up of backing out that they're just sort of like probably just stuck in, going we don't know what to do. Stuck in reverse. Coldplay. They're probably annoyed of that noise. You know that lorry noise where it goes reversing. Apparently that's the new song for Newcastle when they're coming out the dugout this year. The tunnel. So Jackson to Newcastle then, says Indigio. I hope Newcastle do get a good striker. I actually genuinely do. I've got nothing against them really, but yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not here to talk about that. Mark also said Rasmus is like Hojlund. Transfer hype doesn't mean a player is good. He was wanted by Arsenal. City wanted Maguire. Who cares? Says Chris. Nice one, Chris. Being positive about a new United signing. Love it. Well done, mate. You must feel great. I was a little hesitant about Sesko for a bit, but over time I have come to like him. And when the here we go comes, I'll welcome him with open arms. Says Owen. I think what people are really not grasping here is that nobody sat here saying we've bought the world's best striker. Nobody sat here saying he's going to win the Golden Boot. No one sat here saying he's going to be a Ballon d'Or winner. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Because in the modern world, you're all swiping up within seconds and swiping right within seconds because you've got low attention levels and you constantly crave, attention and satisfaction. It's the modern way. You've all been manipulated by these machines that have got your chemicals in your brain going, I need instant satisfaction. I need instant satisfaction. That's why some of you can't sit and watch a brilliant film like Heat because there's not enough going on for you to sit and spend 2 hours watching a brilliant bit of cinema. And it infects you about football as well. We signed Sesko. What's next? We signed Sesko. Oh, he's going to be a flop. Why is he flopped already? He hasn't even scored a goal yet. Because your brains are going, I need attention, I need attention, I need attention. I'm not sitting here that's saying that Sesko is going to be a success. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to flop. What I'm saying is we needed to buy a striker. We missed out on the best 2. And we've probably gone and bought a striker that, for me, is better than a lot of the shit we could have bought, but not as good as Gyökeres or Osimhen. So, as for a team that finished 15th and lost the Europa League final and isn't in Europe, I'd pretty much say the player Arsenal didn't go for is probably the right player for us. I'm not saying he's... I mean, woe betide the person who sits there and tries and... Yeah, there will be people who sit there because they'll be thinking this makes a great TikTok or a brilliant clip to give me a bit of exposure that I think gives me exposure, but actually makes people think, look at this knobhead. I'm not going to sit here and say that Sesko is going to be better than Hojlund. He's going to be better than Gyökeres. He's going to be the best striker in the world. I hope he is. I'm not a bloody idiot. I'm not going to say it. He's coming into Man United, which has been a graveyard for strikers for about 5 years. So it's a huge job, but we needed to bring somebody in, and he's probably the best we could bring in. So excuse me for being excited about that. Excuse me for being happy about that. But at no point have I or any United fan I've seen said he's the best striker in the world and he's better than Hojlund. And some of you seem to want to jump on that that's not been said. All we're saying is we needed a striker. He's probably the best we could get. And we're happy with it. That's it. We'll see what comes. There are challenges ahead. I'm sure there are certain journalists and media outlets out there that will have the hump with this signing because it's another foreign player coming into Manchester United that they will instantly get onto straight away. In fact, before he kicks a ball, I imagine certain radio stations and ex-players will be sharpening their swords against him. Welcome to Manchester United. But look, it doesn't mean he's going to flop and it doesn't mean he's going to be success. It's the best we could get and it's a lot better than what we could have ended up with. Do we have any midfield updates? I'll move on. We going for Lunan goalkeeper versus Newcastle battle again, says JSD. Okay. ESPN was saying even without Sesko, Man United should finish top 6 or Amorim gets the sack. So I'd say to that. I mean, look, we respect our American cousins and you've got some really good outlets over there, but ESPN, I don't know what happened to it, but your punditry and your ex-player panel is shite. Let's be honest. Mark, I'm happy with Sesko, says Patrick Lynch, the voice of reason. My question is this, with 3 signings and the budget we spent, do you feel that Amorim has been properly backed, considering we all feel we still have gaps in the team? Well, I want to talk about this because there was another article that came out this morning that would have been quite interesting in its own because basically, and I want to get your thoughts on this, let's have a look at it for you now. Here we are. So it's coming in from The Athletic. And basically what it says is that Manchester United still have room to spend if they choose to. While cash flow now requires more careful management than in previous years at Old Trafford, recent decisions combined with the club's ongoing borrowing power means there are still financial avenues open to them. Now I've got to shout out, obviously that's from The Athletic, but if you watched the show last night, Swedish Rumble messaged me privately about this and we mentioned this last night. Now I'm not saying The Athletic were watching and decided to write a more in-depth article, but it's basically saying the same thing. Man United have got, as we discussed last night via Swedish Rumble on X, Man United have got wiggle room to spend more money, probably another 50 to 60 million pounds, if we're being completely honest. Why is that not doing that? Hold on a minute, we've got to be very careful here. This is quite important. It's saying my battery is low. Now, I'm going to lose it. What? That should work. If you don't work, we're not ending the show early. Yeah, charging mode is on. Thank God for that. Imagine if it just ended. We've got nearly 30,000 people watching. Keep sharing the video. We have topped out 30,000 on an 8 o'clock show the other night, but the 10 a.m. show is saying, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Please do keep sharing the video. Let's see if we can break records this Wednesday morning. Here we go, hopefully. But look, just saying there, Patrick Lynch makes a good point. Where are we going to go next? I know we were talking about that last night and some people have mentioned it this morning. But seriously, The Athletic are saying we've got more money to spend if we want to because of cash flow and borrowing, etc. Swedish Rumble, we mentioned this on the show last night, so shout out to him for dropping that out there first. Very, very good account. Follow them on X. We do have I would look at it like Chelsea. Some people look at it and go, how have Liverpool spent nearly £500 million this summer? Well, success. 300 million of it is success. They've made good sales. How did Chelsea spend so much money? I don't really know, but they do, and they don't get in trouble. They sell women teams for 200 million, etc. There are ways of doing it. How have Man United got another 60 million pounds to spend when they've nearly spent 200? I don't know, but we can. We can do it. We can do it. It's just whether we want to do it. And I would say you should be doing it. You should be. In the modern game, the world has changed. Football has changed this summer. Teams that finished in the top 4 have spent ridiculous amounts of money because they want to stay in the Champions League. So if you don't respond to that, you won't be in the Champions League. So we do need to spend more money. I suppose to answer Patrick's question, do I think Amorim has been backed? I don't put a monetary value on Amorim being backed. I'm pretty sure Man United will. I'm pretty sure Man United will say, we've backed this manager to nearly £200 million. I would say, in a sense, you are right. But in reality, what is backing? Is backing a manager spending £200 million, or is backing a manager giving him the positions he needs? So you could say, we've spent £200 million on 3 players. We should have spent it on 6. We should have maybe bought different players because we needed a goalkeeper. We needed a midfielder. So I think there's a fine line there. He's certainly been backed in a sense financially because Sesko and Burmo and Cunha do add up to about 180, 200 million pounds. But I would say, where's the goalkeeper? That's essential as well. So we're on the journey to it, Patrick, I would say. Alfie says, I hope you're well. I just wanted to say I even doubted Ineos, but I think they deserve some credit for pulling this off, says Alfie. Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say that Newcastle deserve more credit than Ineos, but it's a difficult one. I mean, look, let me read you this. If I can read you this. Why can't I read it? So, listen to this. Before you start backing Ineos, my stance would be, well, this is not the striker that we wanted. Like, we are in August. It's the best we can get, and I'm happy with it. But it is August the 6th. The window opened pretty much in June. And, you know, we're only getting a striker in now, and it's certainly not option A, B, or C. So you could say, fair play. They've got somebody in. They've adapted to the market. But it's a bit late in the window, and it wasn't actually what we wanted. You could be negative about that. I would also say, where's the goalkeeper? I think that's really important. I would also say, where's the sales? But, you know, we can only deal with what we've got, and I'd rather we were doing stuff like this than doing nothing or signing Nicholas Jackson. So there's an element of credit there, but I wouldn't go mad saying we've had a madness or anything like that, or we've had a great window. The interesting thing is, this is breaking news as well, and I did want to bring this in. The 1958 protest group, Jim can't fix it. The 58 has announced a big new protest ahead of Manchester United's opening game of the season, for the first time directed at part owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as well as the hated Glazers. Supporters are being rallied ahead of the Arsenal clash at Old Trafford on Sunday, August the 17th, with a new route planned and new banners produced, including Jim can't fix this. Ratcliffe has been branded a devil in disguise. It's a new season, but the same old ownership issues are there. 20 years of the Glazers, and their debt mountain is 20 years too long. Enough is enough, confirmed a 1958 spokesman. We won't allow some natural optimism and a couple of shiny new signings to deflect from the bigger off-field picture. Jim Ratcliffe chose to get in bed with the Glazers, and in our opinion is helping keep them in charge. So on the 17th of August, we protest not just against the Glazers, but now also against Sir Jim Ratcliffe, a man once seen by many, including ourselves, as a possible saviour, a beacon of hope, but now revealed as complicit in the ongoing erosion of everything that makes our club what it is. This is no longer just about ownership. This is about survival, the survival of our identity, our community, and our values. And they talk about that in relation to the dilution of younger supporters, the austerity imposed on loyal club staff, and the push to create what we fear would become a Disneyland of the North with the new stadium, and that's where their priorities lie. Not with the fans, not with the community, but with shareholders, executives, and a global brand that strips the club of its roots. Let it be clear, this general vision is not for us. It's not for the fans who travel up and down the country and across Europe. It is not for those who've stood in the same spot at Old Trafford for decades. We feel it is for profit, pure and simple. The burden of this greed is being forced onto generational fans who are being priced out, pushed out, and ignored. Football is consuming itself. What's happened at Manchester United is a warning to every other club. For us, it's a calculated attempt to Americanise and franchise the game we love. If this continues, the sport will be left hollow, a commercial product with no soul. Football is nothing without the fans. So look, I mean, some people might be quite surprised by that. We'll never not serve fan conversation on the United Stand, by the way. My reaction to that is and the reason I've read it in its entirety is because does it miss? Does it not make valid points? But then we're just about to sign Sesko, and I've always said this, and I'll stand alone on this, or people can agree with me. Glazer out movements die when you go out and sign Sesko or Pogba or Bruno. We've always seen that. If we didn't sign a striker, those protests against Arsenal would be huge. Unfortunately, this is the battle any protest or any removal of the Glazers will always face, because you can sweep everything under the carpet with a shiny new toy. And, you know, this is the challenge the 58 are going to face. But we won't stop putting that news out there, because everybody is entitled to make their own mind up. And ultimately, do I believe that the Glazers are good for Manchester United? No. Do they still own the football club? Yes. Is the debt still there? Yes. And do I think we're going to close the gap on the, you know, rivals of ours that are better run and are moving further and further away? At the moment, no. But, you know, separately to that, or part of that, we do have to buy players this summer, and we are about to buy one as well. Normal morning show. Are you out of prison now? Says Mazraoui. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm normally 8 o'clock shows are in my studio. The only reason I'm in my studio this morning is that the builders were here very, very early, laying the concrete in the kitchen, which now needs to set. So they can't do anything today. So I've sneaked back into my morning room, so there's no noise. The new kit releases on the 12th, says Lee Berman. New kit out on the 12th. Hopefully they have Sesko in it, says Joe. Well, if we wait till the 12th, that's next Tuesday. He'll hardly train for the Arsenal game. I personally want Here We Go and it owned on the pitch on Saturday, so we can have a week of training. Edward V has gifted 5 memberships. We're nearly at 30,000 watching. Keep sharing the video, smash a like and subscribe. Let's go Sesko. Pam, 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 says Malik. Now that Sesko is done, any concrete news on a goalkeeper or a midfielder? I tell you what, we've got concrete in the kitchen, and we've got concrete for, I mean, I've just realised. We've took the piss out of the concrete stories for a long time. And you know what? We've actually got some concrete in the kitchen here. Is that, you know, a coincidence? Somebody just said, is that background fake? I know nowadays people still do use green screens and pretend they've got a background behind them. But you should ask. You should ask. Because Champers! Champers! I am actually going to open that and taste it. Champers! You see, it's real. It's real. At the end of the day, that's Sean Dyche. Posh. At the end of the day, you know, we've still got money to spend. Champers. Yeah, there we go. I forgot I even had a bottle of Champers there. I bet it tastes like shit, but you know, I don't like champagne anyway. Let's be cheeky and knock on Brighton's door, says Emin. Yeah, if you're going to knock on someone's door to try and buy something, you need the money to do it. Man United getting Sesko is a huge positive for the club, and Amorim was slowly behaving like a big club. This could affect Arsenal going to Liverpool. I don't care. Like, can we just grow up a little bit? I don't care about Liverpool and Isak. It just sounds really beggy. Like, they're miles ahead of us. Getting Sesko has got nothing to do with stopping Liverpool getting Isak for me. Absolutely nothing. I don't care. And let's get real. Isak might go on strike. He might refuse to train. You know, this might be his dream move that he's not going to get. So I don't care about Isak and Liverpool. I'd rather he didn't go there, but I'm not thinking about us getting Sesko, stopping them getting that. That's their battle. Leave them to it. And I still think he'll go there. If we're not buying a midfielder, I want Donnarumma, says Jace. Yeah, look, I sense that greediness is slipping into some people's mindset this morning. We've just gone head-to-head with Newcastle for the last few days, and at times, some of you lot have been moaning that we're going to lose. Some of us sat there and said, stay calm. We've now got Sesko, or we're very close to it being deal done, and people are going, I want this now, I want that now. Can we just enjoy this? It's a significant signing, and we've spent nearly £200 million, and you're talking about Belieber and Donnarumma. We did play shit last year. We're not in the Champions League. There will be a limit to what we can do. We can't just spend. And as for Donnarumma, I mean, yeah, I'd be over the moon if we did that deal. But he's the world's best goalkeeper. Why is he going to come to Man United? Like, he's got a year left on his contract. I genuinely think we're being used so that he can run his contract down or get a new contract. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Do you think Collier will be loaned down, says Panath? I'm not really in the mood to talk about Collier, to be honest. I think we've got bigger things to talk about, but I think he will be moved on, yeah. Can I please get an in for my son? Can I please get in for my... I'm not a bloody parrot, Nick. I don't do fake get-ins. My son Cole Lamb, who did a great goalkeeper session yesterday with Eric Steele, awesome ex-United coach. Keep it up. Champions League, says Nick. Well, shout out to Cole. No problem with that, but I'm not going to do a fake get-in. I'm sorry. People might boo me for it, but yeah. Shout out to Cole, though, and thank you very much to Nick. I'm too Sesko for my shirt. Oh, here we go. Thanks, Phrase. Agree on attention deficit. In a way, success of United stand also reflects this. Rolling news, not criticism. I remember days of checking CFAX, says WG. Golden Divra, welcome to the members club. And Mark, it's my birthday today. Hoping for an Ornstein or Romano. Here we go for Sesko that we've agreed a fee with Leipzig. And that, Parenvir, is exactly where we are at this morning, by the way. That is exactly where we're at. Some people have... I am going to answer this. Do you think Sesko will be a success? Yeah, we're here to talk about the news and we're here to give opinion, of course. Do I think Sesko will be a success at Manchester United? Yes, in the context of what success is, I think he will be a success. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Van Nistelrooy or the next Rooney, but in the context of where Man United are now, I think he will be a success, because I think a success at Manchester United is scoring between 13 and 20 Premier League goals each season. And I think he will do that, because I think that we haven't even seen the development and improvement under Amorim yet. I think what we saw last season and the season before was a striker starved of service by selfish, inexplicable behaviour from supposed creators who spent more time shooting from distance, thinking about themselves. And I think with Cunha and Mbeumo, we have mature, unselfish players who understand and value teamwork and winning. So when you get Mbeumo and Cunha, they understand when they get the ball in certain situations, the right move is to pass or create. It isn't to get your head down, take someone on and try and score a worldie for yourself. So I think that's going to benefit whoever plays up front. Also, I think Sesko offers things that will be conducive with goals in the Premier League. I think his height is going to be really important. But also I think his ability to score goals will be as well. I think he will score goals. Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to tear it up and win the Golden Boot. I don't think a Man United striker should be thinking about winning the Golden Boot where we are as a football club at the moment. But I certainly think he will be a success. We can't afford another flop as well. Patrick Lynch, that's my opinion, by the way. We need to remember the context of this summer once the season starts. The media will twist it that Amorim has all he needs. When we have struggles next season, we can't let them dictate the narrative. Very, very mature. I think it was you who said it, Patrick. Roller coaster. It will be a roller coaster. Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo are not going to solve the fact that Onana in goal is a volleyball player. Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo are not going to solve the fact that we've got a donut in the midfield. Like, that is going to cost us goals. That's going to cost us points. So, you know, exactly as Patrick says, when you get these morons talking about Man United need to be in the top 6 with the signings they've made, somebody's going to say it. The script is being written. United have spent £200 million. They've got to be in the top 4. That sentence is coming out of someone's mouth. And let's just remember, we've said it here now. Somebody on radio, TV, ex-player is going to say, Amorim's had £200 million. He can't moan about not being backed. United have got to get in the top 4. That is the most moronic statement I've ever heard, and it will definitely come out from somebody. Take away the money for a moment. He's had 3 players. We finished 15th, and we're not in Europe. Who thinks we need 3 players? We need about 7. So the financial outlay doesn't equal backing. It's a journey towards backing, but it's not enough to put us in the top 4. I would say with Sesko, Mbeumo and Cunha, but no goalkeeper and no midfielder, there's an outside chance of 5th. An outside chance of 5th. I still think United are going to finish somewhere between 6th and 10th. And I would say 6th is probably what I would be hoping for. But 5th would be a very good season. And anybody thinking 4th is a twat, to be blunt, really. So we have to protect the reality, because it's not in the interests of certain ex-players, the media, to do that. It's in their interest. It's not in their interest to go, you know what, Simon, what are your thoughts this Monday morning about Man United drawing to Brighton? Well, at the end of the day, they finished 15th last season. You know, they're obviously a work in progress. I can see the positives, but they're still a little bit weak here. This season is going to be about them finishing 7th or 8th. Cut that bit. Do you want to keep your job, Simon? Do you want to keep your job? Swallow a fucking dictionary and slag United off, or you're out. Now we'll go again. Simon, Brighton, draw, Manchester United. They're 7th in the league. It's October. What do you think? Well, he's definitely been backed. He's obviously a rubbish manager. He needs to change the system. Sack him today. That's more like it. That's what we pay you for. And we're going to get that, because that's the way the media works around Manchester United. They cannot tell the truth. They have to lie to get attention. And if United aren't going to win the league, then a manager needs to be sacked. Outrage that post has caused. They probably backtrack, says Robert. Don't know what that's all about. Robert, need more clarity. Hi, Mark. When they say we can spend 50 to 60 million, does that include sales? If we can sell, is there a way we go for Belieber and a goalkeeper? Raffo, we need to stop talking about Belieber. He's a very good player that we've been talking about for about a year. Rio Ferdinand decided to make out that he was the first person to realise that Belieber would be a good player for Man United. And now it's in the vocabulary. We are not in for Belieber. We do not have any money for Belieber. So we need to stop talking about Belieber like it's on the menu. Amazing if it did, but it's not. It's just not there. It's just not there. And people talk about it like it's actually there. It's not there. It's just not there. It's a bit like Hayden Hackney. Like, people have been talking about him for 8 months. It's a fan theory. It's not real. We can't bring it into the vocabulary because people then get disappointed when it doesn't happen. We're literally not in for him. Heard Donnarumma is only valued at 30 million, says Daniel Taylor. Great. New boss needs 7+ players to be considered backed, says Stampsy. The Cunha signing fell into 24-25 for accounting purposes. Therefore, it's not included in this new financial year, says Jonathan. Loan Hojlund to Newcastle, says Ghost92. And 2Pump YouTube says, I enjoy the fact that Sesko, Chido, Rasmus and Xerxes battle it out for the striker position. It would be ideal for competition in the team. If you drop performance, you're benched. We win the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Carabao. It was a good comment till then. We could go for Yulmlin in Sporting, says I think if we did go for somebody, we would go for him. It's amazing we haven't bought a Sporting player. I'll keep saying that. Anders says, Sesko was my third choice after Gyökeres and Osimhen, so can't grumble. He's young enough to grow into a proper top-tier striker. I think that's a very good comment, Anders, really. Where I look at Sesko is, and why I'm happy with it, is because you can only deal with the world in front of you. And if Gyökeres and Osimhen are off the table, you can't moan about it because it's off the table. So do you storm out and go, I'm not eating? Or do you go, okay, I'll go for the next best thing on the menu? And that's what Sesko is. Nobody's professing that this was our dream signing going into the window. Beggars can't be choosers. So I think this is the best we can do at this point. Simple as that. And also, it's not desperate because Faval, who is obviously pushing this deal, is staking his reputation on this deal, because it's not necessarily what Wilcox or Amorim wanted from what we're hearing. It's not that they're against it. They've just been convinced by Sesko this is the way to go. Faval is massively a fan of Sesko. So it's not desperation. It's not like we're looking around here, there and everywhere. Look, there's risks. There's always risks, of course. AC Milan are... Hold on. Here we go. I wanted to talk about this. So Rasmus was mentioned this morning by Fabrizio Romano as he may be looking to move now with the Sesko coming in. There's a lot of clubs interested. There's also a story coming out this morning that AC Milan are working on a loan with an option to buy for Rasmus. The other option remains Vlahovic, who is leaving Juventus. So look, I actually do think Rasmus will go. That's my feeling. But also, I don't agree with it. And it's not because it's Rasmus. I just would rather we kept the striker situation more competitive. I don't believe Obi is ready, and I don't think Xerxes is a striker. So I would rather have somebody who comes on and can play as a number 9 naturally. And it puts a lot more pressure onto Sesko. But I don't think we're going to get our way with that, if you want that. I personally think that Rasmus will be moved on. And he may want to move on because he may say, well, you know what, I want to play football at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think he probably will move on. But, you know, I want the more options, the better, is what I want, really. That's what I would say. Let's come back to the live chat. Bradley Parker, welcome to Members Club. At the end of the day, Champers, says Shibo. Hi, Mark. You're getting me through my shift at work, as you often do, but I'm really happy with this signing and hope all fans give him the time he needs, says Lee. Look, we're always going to get the elements in our fan base that are toxic and vocal. Look, and that's not me slagging them off. That's me being honest. We know that there are fans in our fan base. You can check their tweets. You can look at their videos. You can look at certain people in the media. They were hammering him out for the last 6 weeks of the season. Do you think they are not hammering him out anymore? Because if they're not, they're fake. They are hammering him out. They're just staying quiet. So as much as they might sit there going, oh, let's go, Sesko, they're hammering him out as, and they will be waiting for a bad result. And then when you look around and say, where's the solidarity? They'll be there going, I told you, hammering out. So that's still going to be there. And look how quickly people turned on Agate. Look how quickly people turned on him. You know, barely any time. In fact, they were slagging him off before he'd even kicked a ball. So we do have this in the world now, and we have it around Man United. But the vast majority are going to be excited about this, and they're going to give him a chance. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. That number's wrong. We're on 137, and we're only 200 away from 138,000. So please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in. I have a couple of other things I want to talk to you about, but I'm just trying to catch up on these. The amount of plastic fans we have is unreal, says Cryptic Celt. I can honestly see us fight for Donnarumma next, says Kenzo. Caleb says third kit supposedly coming out on the 12th. I mean, I'm looking forward to that kit coming out because it's been rumoured to be very, very nice. Very, very nice. Miles, FPL Gyökeres down, Sesko up, says Miles. I'd go Gyökeres over Sesko on FPL. I need to do my FPL team, actually. I need to write that down and get that sorted. And I think maybe we should start a league again. That was quite good. Justin says resub so you can get some socks so you don't have to walk the plank barefooted. I'm barefooted most of the summer, mate. Please say happy birthday to my son Matty, who is 9 today, says Daniel Green. Happy birthday to Matty. Hope you have a great day. Bathroom Renovator says, hi Mark, Rasmus didn't receive passes, through balls and crosses. What's to say Sesko will receive better service? Yes, he's a class striker, but if he's not got the service, he would struggle. I mean, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Service is going to be the key thing to any striker we brought in, whether it was Delap, Gyökeres, Rasmus stays, whatever. But I genuinely think that's what we're solving. Dorgu looks very creative down the left-hand side. Cunha and Mbermo look very creative. I think Ahmad still at times looks a little bit selfish, but he was nowhere near as selfish as Garnacho or Anthony or Rashford. So I think we're changing that. And I hope we're going to change that. But, you know, the proof will be in the pudding, as they say. Mohamed's just off to the dentist. Good news about the striker. Hopefully this can push us up the league. We need a midfielder, says Mohamed. Rasmus deserves another season with our support, says Breezing Rain. Let's not forget Arsenal prefer Sesko over Gyökeres, says Class of 90. I don't know whether Arsenal did prefer Sesko over Gyökeres. What Arsenal did do is value Sesko for 18 months and very nearly went for him. So I don't know whether they just went for Gyökeres because he was 10 million cheaper, or whether Berta came in as the director of football and preferred Gyökeres and sort of convinced Arteta, but he was definitely up there. It was one or the other. Hi there, Mark. I'm the guy meant to fix your kitchen floor. Can't find the broom. I dropped a glass, but don't know where you are. Can I still get paid by the hour, says the sales guy. How long do you think it will take the English press to criticise Sesko when he doesn't score goals? Mate, they'll be ready for him now. We're Manchester United. Hated, adored, never ignored. Thank you, Fritz. Hi, Mark. Trust you well. Amorim is going to make Sesko the next Gyökeres, and place for growth is beyond the imagination. Any news on a midfielder? Not at the moment, Rizik. What number do you think Sesko will be, says Reese. I don't personally care. Get in the live chat. Would you prefer winning a double or a Champions League spot? I want the Champions League, Fraz. Hi, Mark. I know what you said before. We need to enjoy the deal with Sesko, but in your opinion, who's the next player we get to come in? Well, look, the positive, Harry, about getting this deal done today is we can move on to the next deal, because there are still two deals most of us want, a goalkeeper and a striker. I've been told we're going for a striker next, and it'll be Lemens. But let's see, because the order in which we've done things this summer isn't necessarily logical. So we'll have to wait and see. Caleb says, we absolutely won't have the funds for Belieber and a crazy goalkeeper, but I'd be over the moon with Hackney and Lemens. Glazers out. Morning show in the studio. You walk the plank. Okay, this morning then, says Kazim. Yep, if you don't know what this walking the plank thing is, you need to check out at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram. We now need to get on with getting Rasmus off the books, as simply read. Hi, Mark. Didn't we have spent in instalments for Cunha and Burmo with Sesko? Our spend will he be 108, leaving behind good dollars left for midfield and goalkeeper. And Anta, I don't want to be the prophet of doom here, but you're making up the story to suit your agenda. You can't just go, we're buying Sesko, we're buying Cunha and Mbeumo on instalments, but we're paying for Sesko up front, so we've spent that. That's not how it works. We also have got to pay. If you start the instalment argument, then you've got to use the instalments for other players like Ugarte and Rasmus and Onana and Mount that we're playing this summer as well. So you're never going to figure out what we've got. You're never going to figure out what we've got. The reality is we could spend more. We don't know how much more, but we can still spend more. Sesko was my third choice after Gyökeres and Osman. He's young enough to develop into a top-tier striker. That was from Anders. Right, okay, let me just recap here, because there are lots of things going on, as you know. Effectively, the big headline is the one that... I mean, I'm happy about it, but I suppose if you're always calm, then, you know, it was... It wasn't a surprise. I think there was some of you that genuinely did fear Newcastle. Shame on you. Even Newcastle fans don't fear themselves in a transfer market. So I think that, yeah, look, what we've had is the verification of what always made sense. The story for me was when David Ornstein said that we wanted Sesko a week ago. That meant Sesko had said he wanted Man United. That's just how it works. When a journalist like that is publicly putting out that we're all in for one player, we don't do that unless we know the player wants us. And as Fabrizio has confirmed in the last few hours, that is the case. He's only ever given priority to us. So it's now about, here we go, deal done. I expect that on the pace of the story to be in the next few hours, maybe before the 2 o'clock show. Certainly by 8 o'clock tonight, I expect us to have done a here we go. I think we're moving into that point now where I wouldn't say it's tiresome, but it's about how quick we can do it now. I want the here we go, and I want him holding up the shirt, because the quicker that happens, the more chance he's going to be involved in the first game of the season, which is going to help us. Like, you know, if you think about Arsenal, Fulham, Burnley, having another striker enhances our chances of that. He is training individually again, Sesko, this morning. So, I mean, that's just a clear sign that that's not a punishment, by the way. The relationship with Leipzig and Sesko is fantastic. So he's not training individually because of punishment. He's training individually so he doesn't get injured. Some clubs will do that. It's about protecting your assets. So there's absolutely no, you train on your own because you've been bad. He's training on his own to maintain his fitness and to protect him because they know he's about to move. So that's all, just part of the process. Darwin Núñez is off to Al Hilal, apparently. There we go. And Diddy's gone to Besiktas. Oh, I have to talk about this. Scott McTominay's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. What are your thoughts on that? Well, he ain't going to win it. So that's the first thing. But what I would say is that not what the Ballon d'Or should be all about? It shouldn't always be Messi or Ronaldo or Haaland or Rodri or Vinicius Jr. or Mbappe. When you look at the season he had in the Italian league, winning the league in his debut season, he deserves it. So I think that's a good thing. The question people will ask, and Robert McCormack will jump in on this, is should we have sold Scott McTominay? And to be honest with you, Erik ten Hag never wanted to. So I always find the Scooby-Doo, I always find the Scott McTominay story just very irrelevant because would he work in the system we have better? Yes, because he's a number 10 and we play 2 number 10s. Would I rather have Cunha and Mbeumo? Yes. So he'd be on the bench for me anyway. Should we have sold him? Well, Amorim wasn't the manager. Ten Hag was. And Ten Hag didn't want to sell him. It was very, very, very public that he didn't. McTominay, from what I remember, wanted to go. And Ineos were happy to take the money because he was homegrown. So, I mean, yeah, you can say we shouldn't have done it. But ultimately, we probably should. And he made the right move. Look at that. He was never going to be a Ballon d'Or nominator at Manchester United, was he? So I think people forget that. They never think about the player once. And I think McTominay made the right move for his career. So saying we shouldn't have sold him, maybe he would have said it, I want to go anyway. Robert McCormack says, I'd imagine he will win it more times than Messi. Isaac Ramsey, thank you very much for your super chat. Who do you think will be our breakout player this season, Mark, says Reese? Breakout player? Probably Leon, maybe. I don't know whether we'll have a breakout player this year. Yeah, I think it's very hard to envisage a breakout player because you're either going to be a new signing or I can't see it. I can't see it. I mean, Dorgu. Yeah. I mean, I would say Dorgu if we're going to class a new signing from last year as a development. Yeah, I would do that. But I mean, a breakout player for me is someone who comes from nowhere, really. Do you think we haven't bought guys from Sporting because of Ten Hag signing Ajax players and the media rubbish about it, says Lucas? No, I think that, if anyone at United is saying we're not buying players from a manager's former club, that would be stupid, especially with the distinctive system we have. I think we would have bought Gyökeres, but he's gone to Arsenal. I think we would have gone for a Nacho or Diamonde, but we're not buying a centre-back. We would have gone for Kenda, but he went to Chelsea. So, no, I don't believe that. I think we've answered that there. There are rumours that Hojlund has same issues as Gyökeres in terms of release clause agreed with during Amorim's regime, something to watch out for in the future. I think if you gave Amorim the choice between Belieber and Hojlund, he'd go for Hojlund, but, I don't think we're going to get anybody of that quality. I mean, look, I'd be over the moon with Wharton, Belieber or Hojlund, but I don't think we're going to get anybody of the quality of that, even though we probably should. And the reason for it is if you go and buy someone like that, they go straight into the team. What do you do with Casemiro? What do you do with Agate? What do you do with Mainu? I mean, I'm still sat here going, I don't actually understand. I mean, I'm very happy he's going to do it, but I don't understand why Man United are negotiating a contract with Mainu for 150 grand a week, and I don't know why Mainu's willing to sign it. Because the way I look at it, I want him to sign it. I really do want him to sign it, and I want him to be in our team, but I can't find a place for him. I just don't know where he's going to fit into this team, you know, and that, you know, it's almost like we can't sell Mainu, and we can't sell Mainu, but we can't get him in the team either. And that's a strange thing. And, you know, I would say about Agate as well. He's only been here a year. Where does he get in the team if we buy a striker? He doesn't. And then you're looking at an Ineos. And remember, Ineos wanted Agate and to sell Mctominay. That was an Ineos thing. Now, whether the person who wanted that is still here is another thing. But that would be that would be a huge loss on a £60 million player 12 months later. So the midfield thing is complex. Let's get him on a plane now. Contract signed, shirt on, champers. Enjoy then. What's next? Let's go, Sesko, says Andre. I like Rasmus. He looks more grown up, but Amorim must have made his mind up on him. The Sesko transfer shows his view that Rasmus ain't his guy, says Damien. Yes and no. Yes and no. I think Amorim does like Rasmus. I just think it might be more of a financial decision that I can't keep two. I think we should be keeping two. But I get the feeling we won't keep two. Crazy we pay 60 for Mount, but Chelsea pay 40 for Garnacho, says Matt Thomas. I forgot about Garnacho, which is actually quite nice. And Anthony and Sancho. And the fact that they're not getting any headlines is great as well. Let them, you know, do whatever they're doing. Right, thank you everybody for watching this morning. We are obviously going to be back at some point with Here We Go, and hopefully it's going to be very, very soon. So make sure you've subscribed. We've maintained nearly 30,000 watching. Terry is now live if you want to join him on Football Terrace. I've got to say Terry does win the thumbnail war this morning. Very, very good. Let's Here We Sesko, I think it says. We'll be back soon anyway. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.